Johnny I. Anson makes your morning.
Today's West Yorkshire BBC Radio Leeds.
Now, we're joined in the studio at BBC Radio Leeds here in Bradford by a singer-songwriter who's mixing entertainment and politics with his new single. Jonathan Taylor is a part-time teacher from Frysing Hall who was so moved by his experience of meeting England's last Auschwitz survivor that he's written a song about it. It's called The Holocaust Denier and is dedicated to the life of an elderly gentleman called Leon Greenman, who sadly recently died. We'll hear the song in a moment, but first, Jonathan, welcome to the studio. How are you?
Very good morning to you. I'm very well. I had a lovely journey in.
Well, you
The
seem
snow's
pretty
beautiful.
chipper. Is that ironic, a lovely journey? Because it's not that
Wow.
nice outside.
No, I came in on the Wharfdale line, which is electrified.
Oh, so you
and
on a
the
train,
frost,
right.
Yeah, the cables, electric sparks. It was like a wilding arc going like a mile into the distance. It was beautiful.
That sounds
I'm
nice.
happy. I like
You
the
sound
sound.
like one of my old favourite teachers that I actually paid
Thank you.
attention to. Jonathan, tell us about this song, because mixing politics and music is something which I guess lots of people do, but aren't necessarily always the most successful with it. But then this probably isn't about success, I guess.
It's not about success, and I've got a reputation for writing very dark songs,
Right.
emotionally dark. I mean, from the outset, there's no money to be made from this song. This is about Holocaust awareness and the story behind it, and it is available free as a download, and I'll give the details later. It's also to basically get it, this story told on Holocaust Awareness Day, which is the 27th of January. But the song's inspired. I mean, I was studying community studies at Ilkley College, which used to be Bradford and Ilkley, and Leon Greenman, who was to be precise, the only English Jew to be imprisoned in Auschwitz.
Right, the only English... Okay.
The only English Jew, yeah. And he was the author of the book, An Englishman in Auschwitz. Very sadly lost his wife and his son in Auschwitz. But he's the only English Jew known to have been in prison there, let alone survive. He came and gave a talk about the Holocaust at the university, and I spoke to him afterwards. And his biggest fear, he dedicated the remainder of his life to going around touring schools, colleges, anywhere that would listen and hear his story. Never let this happen again. And I spoke to him, and he made me promise, and I made this promise to him, that within 5 years I would visit the death camps, and on return I must write to him, and say how I feel. How do you possibly do that? How do you write to someone and say, well, look, I finally got to Auschwitz and this is how I feel? So it never really happened. But eventually, for a number of reasons, the song was composed, The Holocaust Denier, which is, it's not meant to be disturbing, but it's meant to be graphic. It's meant to bring the reality of the Holocaust home for people. And I wrote it and I sent him the song, and very, very sadly, he died months before.
So he never got to hear it?
He's never heard the song. So the song was sent to the Jewish Museum in London, that has an exhibition dedicated to Leon's life, sent to Birkenau-Auschwitz State Museum and various other places. I only hope that he would appreciate what I've done.
I'm
But
sure he
I
would.
would probably never know.
And what was it in particular about Leon's story that moved you so much?
I think the personally meeting him and coming face to face with this beautiful old man, full of love and grace, who had dedicated the remainder of his life to educating others, and also being in teaching, working with students who are lovely students, very politically aware, politically okay, but then having conversations about the Holocaust and then not actually knowing much about it. And, political students saying, well, yeah, we all know it happened, but not that many died. Was it really 6 million?
Yeah.
And that to me is quite a terrifying thought. And on top of that being in schools, I think Holocaust Awareness Day is something somewhere that, for whatever reason, has slowly become forgotten off the curriculum. It's mentioned, but it's not really internalised in education anymore.
I guess we live in a time now where there are certain far-right groups that have quite a prominent place in the public consciousness. So how important is it that we look back and remember and acknowledge and mark exactly what happened during those days?
I think the significance and importance is that this will happen again. It's only for good people not to do nothing.
Do you honestly believe it could? Do you think it could happen again?
I do believe politically. One of the final inspiring things that kind of finalised the song, and without getting too much into right or left-wing politics, was the election of the right wing to the European Parliament. And I thought, here we are with a Yorkshire Humberside MP, of a far-right political opinion, who is now our European representative. And I think to myself, how could that happen but it did.
I mean, we should point out that obviously, the people we're talking about, that we're not accusing them of Holocaust denial
Not at
or
all,
anything to
not at
do with anything that happened back then, or sharing the same sorts of views. But I guess it is that issue that you do have the extreme beliefs, which is what caused this in the first place.
Yes. Yeah, you've also got issues around political correctness, which is a great thing. But when the original article was featured in the local newspaper, and you could comment in, somebody came in and basically talked about, look what's happening in Palestine, look what's happening, this, that and the other. And my opinion was, well, whatever your political opinion of what is happening in the Middle East with the tension, and I've got my own opinions about that, what happened in the Holocaust, this happened before the State of Israel even existed. So to not have Holocaust awareness because of current tensions. And I think the world is probably a very, very dangerous place now. It's a scary place, and there's almost an acceptance somehow of, and these are my opinions, but an acceptance of racism, of xenophobia, that probably wasn't around when I was a student, 10, 15 years ago.
I think that point of xenophobia that you picked up on then is, it's particularly, it's come back to the fore, particularly over the past few years. We have Islamophobia or whatever you want to call it. It's almost just, it's kind of just a shift in the landscape slightly, but those beliefs and those fears are still there.
Yeah, they are there. And I think as well now there's much more awareness, I think, nationally and probably globally as well, about those issues, and that it is kind of often a minority, that it doesn't represent kind of the bulk of people living in the country or their views.
Let's have a listen to the song. We'll have a chat about afterwards where people can get it from, and obviously where they can see you too. This is Jonathan Taylor and the Holocaust Denier. You're listening to BBC Radio Leeds. Way there, innit? We're playing the wrong track here. This is all going very smoothly. I'm sorry, Jonathan. It's my fault.
I was going to say that one's very depressing.
Right.
As well.
Okay. Oh, right.
It's not doing the Christmas very good, is it?
Okay, no problem. So this is the correct track on BBC Radio Leeds. There we go. Jonathan Taylor, the Holocaust Denier. Eventually, when I played the right one. Jonathan, that is incredibly poignant. It's incredibly moving. How do you go about doing something like the Holocaust, I guess, the justice, when writing a song like that? Because you only have 4 minutes to do it, to sum up one of the most tragic and awful moments in history.
And how do you write a song about genocide, about the systematic murder, a death camp killing millions of people, without being too graphic and disturbing, but putting a message across that people will listen to? And it's very difficult. And when I write songs, if I start to cry, which I frequently do, and that song that you've heard many, many times, I couldn't actually play it from beginning to end, having been to the death camps, having known Leon, knowing the story behind the song. It's a very difficult one, and I just think you've got to be honest to yourself, and if music comes from the heart, if what you're playing is having an emotional effect on you, if it's disturbing me, then I think it must be disturbing somebody listening to it, but without being too gratuitous. And I mean, the opening lines, row upon row of monochrome despise, that's about all the hundreds and hundreds of photographs of these murdered, people in Auschwitz, and not just Jews, but homosexuals, political prisoners, trade unionists, but nine out of 10 were Jewish. And and working with words, because originally it was demise, the song demise, and I thought, well, how can you use the word demise? The song is about a death camp.
Yeah.
So no, let's look at these pictures. These are Jews. This is about despise. This is about ultimates of hate and politics, and it's very difficult. So, the songs do evolve, they do change, but it's a song that I'm not happy with, because it's a horrible song, but I'm happy with.
Yeah.
I'm happy with.
Okay, Jonathan, the song that we played by mistake, you told us that was about the Twin Towers, and obviously we've just heard your song about the Holocaust. Do you ever want to write a happy song?
It's very difficult. I mean, yes, the song is about the Twin Towers. Because of the very nature that I am, and my experiences, and I'm self-taught, I don't know any musical structure, I don't know scales or chords. I pick up a guitar, if it sounds good and it works, that's how it is. and I don't want to put structure into my music because I think that spoils it in many ways. But, you know, I just have my own opinions on that. But in terms of happy songs, for me, I'm inspired to write a song by an event. And the more disturbing an event, the more it upsets me, the more because I am very, very, very sensitive to things, and I will sit and watch the news, and I will cry, just watching the news. And if something moves me like that, then usually I just get inspired to write something. So it's very, very difficult, being the nature that I am, to write happy songs. But I occasionally, 80% of what I do is very dark.
You ever write a good love
very
song?
Dark.
A nice ballad
beautiful,
or something like that.
I've written some beautiful love songs.
I'd
I've just
like to
finished
hear
one
what
called
you have.
Valentine,
Lovely.
which is a beautiful
It's not
song.
about the Valentine's Day massacre, though.
No.
Sure, all right.
No. It's just about a love song. But he doesn't get the girl.
Yeah, right. Of course. Well, yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen.
When
but it's
do you?
about it's about just love and wanting somebody and looking at them for years and being in love and just wanting to be with them.
I think it's really honourable what you do, and incredibly admirable as well. This is going out as part of Holocaust Day in January, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, every single radio station, including hospital radios, everybody, even sent one to BBC Radio Guernsey. There you go. Every radio station will have a copy of this. It's available as a free download. I don't want to make money from it. If anyone wants to make money, then send it to the Auschwitz State Bergenheim Museum.
And where do
please.
they go to get a copy if they haven't got one sent to them?
It's on MySpace, which is myspace.com/Jonathan Taylor Bulgaria, same spelling as yours, or just Google Jonathan Taylor singer-songwriter, and there's a load of links come up.
Excellent. Jonathan, thanks very much for joining us today. It was really lovely to meet you, and the song was magic. It's kind of, in the right way. I think the gravitas of it is completely delivered, I guess. Thank you for joining us today on BBC Radio Leeds. You're listening to Johnny and Isma.
Johnny Ianson makes your morning.
Today's West Yorkshire BBC